I also got the we went to a wedding a year and a half ago. It was like yeah. Why did you even drink water? Like I wasn't even drinking my own. I just so bad. There you go.
Ready? All right, well, thank you everyone for coming out. We're going to get started. Sorry to keep you late. Sorry to keep you waiting. We're going to start the August 14th meeting of the Board of Supervisors with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Couple quick announcements. National Night Out was Tuesday, August 1st. It was a great event. I want to thank the staff and vendors who participated in National Night Out and to everyone who joined in the festivities on that evening. It was a great showing of community fun and public safety coming together. I will say I had a great time dunking the chief of police that night. No one got it on photo, but he was a really great sport. The outdoor bocce courts at both Friendship Park and Montgomery Township Community and Rec Center are officially open. They're available on a first-come, first-served basis. Players may either bring their own set of bocce balls or use the township sets. At Friendship Park, they're in the shed right by the courts. And at the Rec Center, please ask the front desk staff to borrow them. Fall recreation programs are now posted and open for registration on montcrc.com. Take a look for fun activities for preschool age children all the way through seniors. Mark your calendars for the American Red Cross Blood Drive on August 30th at the Montgomery Township Community and Rec Center. Registration for an appointment is at redcrossblood.org. We have some breaking news from Harrisburg. Today, Governor Josh Shapiro announced that 77 municipalities across the Commonwealth will receive over $35.5 million to support traffic signal upgrades, increasing safety and mobility across Pennsylvania's communities through the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's Green Light Go program. Green Light Go grants are provided as reimbursement to municipalities for updates to improve the efficiency and operation of existing traffic signals. These projects will be funded through the appropriation for fiscal year 23 to 24. I'm happy to announce that Montgomery Township is one of 8 municipalities in Montgomery County that was awarded one of these grants. The grant of $528,260 will be used for updated traffic signal equipment at Bethlehem Pike, Route 309, and English Village Drive / Gwinnett Crossing Drive. We appreciate the letters of support from State Senator Maria Collette and State Representative Melissa Serrato, which we included with our grant application. Any other announcements? Okay, moving on to item number 4, public comment. Is there any public comment for any items not listed on the agenda? If so, that would be the time. No public comment? Next thing would be announcement of executive session. Sean? Sorry.
Sure. The Board of Supervisors met in executive session earlier this evening at 6:15 to discuss 2 matters involving litigation and 3 personnel matters. Topics discussed are legitimate subjects of an executive session pursuant to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Sunshine.
Thank you so much. Item number 6 is our consent agenda. I'm going to move to approve the consent agenda as presented for the following: minutes of the July 10th, 2023 board meeting, ratification of bills paid through July 24th, 2023, payment of bills for August 14th, 2023, and escrow release number 11 and end of maintenance for Maple Drive Crystal Road Townhouse Project.
Second.
Is there any public comment? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Number 7, American Red Cross Life Saving Awards. Chief Wegman?
Yes, I'd like to ask the representatives from the Red Cross to come up and start the presentation. Either one's fine. It's up to you. Project.
Well, for the purpose of the recording, it would probably be, should I speak into a microphone might be better. Okay.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Is it coming through? Wonderful. Well, thank you for allowing us some time at the top of your meeting. We really appreciate the opportunity to recognize 11 heroes for their life-saving efforts. My name is Laura Burke. I'm the interim executive director for the American Red Cross of the Delaware Valley chapter. As I mentioned, tonight we're honoring 11 Montgomery Township employees and first responders with these certificates of extraordinary personal action for the steps they took to save a resident's life this past March. I'd like to recognize and also thank Chief Bill Wegman for this nomination to recognize his peers. At this time, I will turn it over to Chief to outline the life-saving act that day.
Thank you. On the afternoon of March 16th, Montgomery Township Emergency Services were dispatched to the Montgomery Township Community and Recreation Center for an unconscious male. The patient was playing pickleball at the center when he suffered medical distress. Angelina, who's here and works at the rec center, activated the 911 system and began patient care. Officer Byrne arrived on location and began patient assessment and initiated CPR. Squad 18 arrived on location and took over care. Firefighter Anthony Rubis attached and utilized the AED. Firefighters Harry Reese and Owen Lowry performed CPR. Firefighter Jake Weltman managed the patient's airway and utilized the device to deliver breaths and oxygen to the patient. Captain Andrew Backlund supervised the crew's action and assisted with first aid and patient care. Horsham EMS arrived on location. Paramedics John Ardiff and Amanda Cassandi and EMTs TJ Stressman and John Schwartz provided advanced life support to the patient. Horsham transported the patient to the hospital. The swift and immediate actions of all parties resulted in saving the patient's life. The patient made a full recovery after suffering cardiac arrest. And because of their actions in directly saving this township resident's life, Chief Bendig and I nominated them for the life-saving award.
Thank you. And before we invite the honorees up to receive their individual awards, I want to talk a little bit about the award that we are presenting tonight. The Certificate of Extraordinary Personal Action is given to those who step up in an emergency situation to help save or sustain a life. These individuals exemplify the mission of the American Red Cross to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. We commend each one of you for your willingness to help others in distress. So at this time, I'm going to invite, are we inviting Chairwoman?
Yes, please. Yep.
Chairwoman, if you would be so kind to join me. We will be calling you up individually to receive your award. I want to apologize in advance if I butcher your name a little bit. It's not, I promise, it's not intentional. You will receive your individual award, and I'm going to ask you to remain standing. We'll do a group shot and also individual photos at this time, and my colleague Elena is here to take some photos as well. First, we have John Ardiff. Oh, fantastic. I'm just going to keep, do you want me? There we go. Andrew Backlund. Pete Byrne. Angelina Capazzi. Amanda Cassandi. Good, because I butchered her name and that's inappropriate. Thank you, Amanda. And then Owen Lowry. I heard them say it earlier. I wrote it down. Harry Reese. Oh, I'm sorry. Anthony Rubis. Thomas Stressman. Jonathan Schwartz. And Jake Weltman. Yes. I just want to say that this is a really incredible sight to see all of these heroes in one spot for a life-saving action. So let's all give them a round of applause.
Sure, you're a boss now.
Give me 1 second.
I did not see anyone's lives, you guys. You all deserve to be in that picture.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And thank you for hosting blood drives.
We have a resolution, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. I'm going to move to recognize the above individuals for their life-saving actions on March 16th at the Township's Community and Recreation Center. And I will just read their names out. Angelini Capazzi, firefighter Harry Reese, firefighter Yogan Lowry, Owen Lowry. I should have learned. TJ Stressman, Horsham, Officer Pete Byrne, firefighter Jake Weltman, John Ardiff, Horsham, John Schwartz, Horsham, Captain Andrew Backlund, firefighter Anthony Rubis, and Amanda Sonardi, Casambi, Horsham.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty, item number 8, we have the award for the bid for concrete work at the Community and Rec Center. Carolyn McCleary or Greg?
We're gonna let Greg handle
Okay.
this.
Okay, I'll take that one. Good evening. Included in the 2023 budget was a facility study and report for the Community and Recreation Center. Dewey Engineering LLC was hired to inspect the facility and issue a report to the township. To ensure that work already identified by staff can be done in a timely manner, the Board of Supervisors authorized the advertisement of the bid for the work related to the repairs, replacement of the concrete outside of the facility at your public meeting on April 24th of 2023. The bid was properly advertised and pre-bid meeting was held on July 11th at the CRC. Bids were open on July 25th and reviewed by Dewey and Township staff. 3 bids were received that included the base bid and alternates for additional concrete work. The bid summary is included in the packet. If the bid is awarded this evening, work would be expected to begin towards the end of August. A total of $291,450 will be paid from the capital reserves and is $26,000 below the project budget Dewey Engineering provided. We recommend at this time that the board award the bid with both alternatives added.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Do we expect any other extras, anything else that you think might pop up?
We're hoping not, but there was a study that was going to be included with a project of that size. You're not sure, depending on the construction, what they come across.
That would be, there would be no additional work in the scope, but if they start digging and there's something that wasn't foreseen underneath the concrete, then that might result in a change order. The study that Greg referenced, they will be here at your meeting on September 11th to review the details of it with you. They went through the building thoroughly is not a good enough word for how well they looked at everything there. It is unfortunate, that we have to look at the concrete so early on, but there's some serious issues there and we want to make sure we address them before something were to happen, not only to, visitors there, but, also to the staff who are going in and out of the building. We just feel better if, and that's why we brought them in. This is what they do. And the study they dropped off is very thorough. And I think you'll be pleased with the outcome. And it's going to give us sort of a roadmap, if you will, for the next so many years, what might need to be done and when, in the building and outside of the building.
Great. Thank you.
Love a roadmap. All right, I'm going to move to award the bid for the concrete replacement project at the Community and Recreation Center to T. Schaefer Contractors Incorporated, the lowest responsible bidder based on the recommendations of Dewey Engineering LLC, the township consultant for the project.
Second.
Is there any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 10, consider authorization to execute intergovernmental agreement on bus stop information.
9.
Oh, I see. Where's 9? Oh, sorry, 9. Fellowship Park. Another one for Greg Reef. Consider award of contract for the Fellowship Park Improvement Project.
You were trying to take
Sorry.
it easy on me. Thank you. The township had received an open bid utilizing pen bids on August 4th of 2023 at the township building. Gilmore and Associates, the township engineer, reviewed the 4 bids ranging from $672,069 to $843,055 and is recommending to award the bid to Cousins Incorporated, the lowest responsible bidder, with a bid of $672,069. The recommendation letter and bid tabulation sheets are included in your packet. The board authorized the advertisement of the bid at its public meeting on December 12th of 2022. A total of $650,000 was included in the 2023 capital investment plan for Fellowship Park improvements, with a $250,000 DCNR grant to help offset the costs. So it would be our recommendation at this time to award the bid as recommended to Cousins Incorporated.
Do you know when that would start and maybe when it might be finished?
I actually have an email from them. So assuming that you award the bid tonight, they would get a tentative notice to proceed on September 5th. And they would start with the site work, stormwater work. There was a lot of site work that had to be done because of the stormwater ponding. We actually moved the playground structure away from the low area so that to help with the drainage, there's some ADA issues. We expect the completion of the project to be late spring, early summer of next year.
Nice that they can start right away. That would be great. Any other questions?
I just want to make sure that I understood in the detail of the expenses
they only just said playground equipment. Is that the same, what we understood to be the playground, that was in the proposal? Yes, it's, similar to the playground equipment that was put in at Friendship Park, including a sensory area.
Yes.
Because I've been specifically asked about that.
Yes.
But the bigger sensory area is going to be at Whistle Stop, and Whistle Stop is a much more complex project, and will have sensory features, as well as, new pickleball courts there. So, but yes, we're aware of the need to make sure that we have that at all of them. Okay, great. Just want to make sure I can respond.
All right. I'm going to move to award the contract for the Fellowship Park Improvement Project to Cousins Incorporated, the lowest responsible bidder, in the amount of $672,069 per the recommendation of Gilmore and Associates Township Engineer.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, now we'll go back to item number 10, which will be Lieutenant Peoples talking about the Intergovernmental Agreement Bus Stop Program. Yeah.
You want me to do this? Okay. I apologize.
I'm sorry.
No, I'll read it. Every day, 1.3 million students are transported by more than 21,000 school buses throughout Pennsylvania. A 47-day study of 2 school buses within the state was conducted in 2019. Cameras recorded 205 illegal stop arm passes, or 2.18 violations bus per day. In 2020, Governor Wolf signed House Bill 364, now Act 38, allowing school districts to implement violator-funded stop arm enforcement programs to enforce school bus stopping laws and ensure the safety of Pennsylvania students. These camera systems use sensors and cameras when the bus overhead lights are flashing. If the cameras record a vehicle driving around the bus, the violation is recorded. That video evidence is passed to local law enforcement. Officers then review the video evidence for further disposition, which includes the ability to issue citations to the owner of the vehicle that failed to stop for the flashing red signal on a school bus. On February 16th, 2023, the North Penn School District Board of School Directors approved an agreement with Bus Patrol America LLC to provide a stop arm, signal arm enforcement system on their school buses. This evening, the staff is requesting consideration for the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Montgomery Township Police Department and the North Penn District for the department to have primary authority / jurisdiction to enforce school bus stopping laws captured on camera. Our township solicitor has reviewed this intergovernmental agreement.
I think this looks like a great program. From what I understand, there's no cost to us, correct? It's a shared, that the costs are paid through the ticket.
Yes.
Does anyone know of any?
So we're only getting
Downsides?
$25 per ticket, from what I understand. $250 goes to the school.
That's correct. It's $25 would come to the department,
25
25
to
goes to
the-
the state, and then the rest is between the school district and the company itself for the cameras.
Right. Right. So how are we taking care of our in-house personnel reviewing tapes when we get them? Like, is there a program that we already know how we're
Well, there's
implementing that?
procedures going to have to be done, but the way it works is this company, they actually review all of the footage. And when they deem a violation has occurred, they would send that video encrypted to us. Then it's going to be our highway safety unit, Peter Burns here. They would be the ones reviewing it to make sure that it's meeting our criteria and for the law. The school bus isn't still rolling. It's a clear violation. And then we don't actually write the ticket. We give it to the company. We'll tell them that, yes, it is a violation. And then they will send it out. It actually goes out as a civil citation, not an actual vehicle code violation.
But we're approving, this is our jurisdiction. We get the last say whether you issue that
Yes.
citation or not.
And if it does go to court, it ends up being a civil proceeding, but it would go to our district court with District Justice Duffy.
So if we're getting $25 per ticket, is that enough money to pay for whoever is reviewing it and doing this extra work?
To be seen. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of things to look at, like how long is it going to take to logistically look at the things? How many we're going to get a month? Because we've never done it before, it's kind of hard to project the offset of having our highway safety officers sit down and do it.
At this point, you can't say if it's one a month or you're having 10 a month.
No,
That's
I know
correct.
Chief Bending had reached out to a couple other departments that already have this in place, and I thought the numbers were staggering. The number of people who are, like that's what you learn in driver's ed 101,
You see it all the time.
but it's
terrible.
shocking to me still.
It's terrifying too.
and I
What could
think-
happen.
Right, exactly, that a child or, with their guardian parent or even alone, I just think pocketbook issue, again, it's unfortunate, but I think that's what's really going to, and we will put the word out as soon as we execute and we're in a position, we will make sure everybody's put on notice that this is something that we're doing. But I think, even with the $25, we need to protect again, our residents as best
That
as
was
possible.
going to be my
Yeah.
point. But,
Sorry.
that this is really not so much about dollars and cents and income to offset our expenses, but creating a safer environment, especially for our students. So I think
Definitely.
that this is a
100%.
Yeah.
a
Health, safety, and
worthwhile
welfare.
investment of our resources around implementing this program.
Have
It
any
is.
of the other boroughs or townships signed off yet?
Yeah,
How are
all the
they?
North Penn area is going to be doing it. So there will be an education piece with it also, education for the township and communities around. I'd like also to see, I know, speaking with Officer Byrne about them having something to put on the school buses. I don't think that's gone through yet, but that's another education portion that I hope is going to happen.
Mhm. Yeah. Put something on the back of the bus if you pass me.
Mm-hmm. Or just something saying that this bus is protected by a
Yeah.
stop camera system or whatever they might have.
Yeah.
It'd be good education for the public.
And hopefully serves as a deterrent so that people don't engage in that kind of behavior.
And how soon will the cameras go on? Is it like for this school year?
Officer Byrne, help me out with that one?
It should be for this school year. Lower Southwood, started doing it last year, New Orleans, deployed the system last year, Norristown, and they were getting hundreds and hundreds of violations, unfortunately, every month.
Wow.
So, for some of the bus stops, because you're around, we're probably pretty similar. But the idea is to have it up and running. Bus patrol for us did agree to actually put signage on the bus. The idea was basically similar to the intersection of Abington Township. People will say it's photo force, hopefully they'll, will the deterrence as opposed to scotch in the mail. I think they're going to provide a big screen TV for district court to be able to leave the footage. So hopefully we have a nice asset to the township.
Do we know of any areas where this has been in place for a while and they've seen the numbers decline because of?
So it's did start either lower or upper Orland. Unfortunately, they have not seen a decrease. They've actually seen a slight increase. Where they've been seeing a couple hundred a month. But I think part of that is just kind of the education piece where they don't have the buses labeled. That was a big push that I know Chief Bending supported. So hopefully just that extra awareness would be more effective in our township than other places.
Or $300 fine isn't enough, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Pete.
Well, let's hope it works. I'm going to move to authorize the execution of the intergovernmental agreement between Montgomery Township Police Department and North Penn School District.
Second.
Any public comment? Please come up and give us your name and address. That one's fine.
Hi, good evening. I'm Linda Blood out of 136 Claremont Drive. Good question. I understood, and if I understood correctly, this was just going to be a civil penalty. Does that preclude someone actually getting a ticket that either counts against their license or gives them points?
Yes, I can speak to that. This is because it's a civil. It does not affect, there are no points assigned to it, and it will not affect your insurance either.
And I guess that's my point. Does it preclude the police department then from giving a citation that does end up with points? Because
That would be, it's my understanding that this system, we're not planning on doing that because it's not being observed by a police officer directly. Anything that we're going to use from this video is going to go out as that civil. It won't be something where we send a civil, and we also send a traffic citation.
Okay, so if an officer happens to be in the area and witnesses this, would he be stopped, or would he still be able to, or she be able?
Oh,
to?
absolutely.
Okay.
And if we did do that and it came up again on the video, it would only be the one.
Okay.
So we're not to do civil and the traffic as well.
Terrific. Thank you very much for clarifying.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 11, consider authorization to purchase Faro crime scene laser mapping. Lieutenant Peoples?
Okay, in 2019, police departments in the North Penn region formulated a North Penn crash team. This team is comprised of area police officers with specialized crash reconstruction and related training. Officers assigned to the team are available to assist area departments in investigation of serious motor vehicle crashes in accordance with requests for assistance made under the Pennsylvania Municipal Police Officers Jurisdiction Act. In 2021, the team identified equipment that would be beneficial in assisting members in the reconstruction of these serious motor vehicle crashes. The necessary equipment identified including a laser mapping system. This unit would be utilized to accurately measure and collect data from objects, surfaces, buildings, and landscapes. On behalf of the team, our department undertook the efforts to secure funding to purchase the system with the invaluable assistance of Senator Klett, Representative Maligari, Representative Serato, and former Representative Stevens. On April 5th, 2023, the department was informed that we were awarded a Department of Community and Economic Development grant of $76,941 to purchase a laser mapping system for the team. After consultation with the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, their office requested the Faro laser mapping system to be purchased. The Faro laser mapping system is the same technology and platform utilized by the District Attorney's Office and the Montgomery County law enforcement agencies, thus ensuring the continuity in the crime scene documentation and criminal prosecution that may arise from these investigations. Attached is a quote dated June 8, 2023 from ZNet Tech, an authorized vendor of the Faro laser mapping system at a total cost of $76,479.52.
Anybody have any questions?
I'm just kind of curious from a technical perspective. Does the scanner operate sort of like a camera with 360-degree radius and maps out with laser technology all of the different objects in a scene?
Yes. The way it works is, and I'm lucky to have Highway Officer Peter Byrne here if I get it wrong. The way it works is it does a laser, and it's doing a 360 laser the whole time, and that laser is doing distance and height. And what it does is it actually spins all the way around as collecting all that data. And if we had it in this room, we could move it in several locations and it will sync into it with each other. And then it will give you a 3D representation that is accurate to the millimeter, I believe, if you have to do measurements after the fact. The reason why for crime scenes is because we can take this out if there's a really bad accident. We can take it around the crime scene and let it do its thing. And then we're going to have a 3D rendering. If later we want to go back and look at something, not only does it do the 3D rendering, but it's also doing high image photographs also. So if you're saying, was there a skid mark there? It wasn't there. It's a very valuable tool for the picture as well as the 3D mapping. And with that 3D mapping, you could actually, with the software, you could actually spin it. You go above it. It's a very unique piece, not only for accidents, but also for crime scene rendering. You can use it as well. Officer Byrne, any other points that I missed that would be important?
That covers it. I mean, really the best way to describe it is a very high definition Google Street View, where you can walk around the street, you can walk around the crime scene, take measurements, pick up slope of the roadway, you can analyze photos, take measurements of all photos. As far as just mapping, it's much quicker, more accurate visuals.
Is there any AI component to it where it can actually identify what objects are within the scene itself?
No, it's just doing a 3D rendering of what you're looking at.
Okay.
So if the DA's office is using this, I assume this is admissible as evidence then as well if it goes to court?
It would be the standard for accident investigations. Yep.
To laying the foundation for whoever did the work. And, okay.
And other departments have the same one, from my understanding. So it's something in our area, at least, is something that's being used. So it's court defensible for that.
Interesting.
Sounds like a good tool.
Yeah.
I'm going to move to authorize the contract for purchasing a Faro laser mapping system at a total cost of $76,479.52 per the attached quote.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 12, Chief Wegman, approval to purchase new pickup truck for Department of Fire Services Fire Marshal's Office.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
The DFS is seeking the board's approval to purchase a new pickup truck for the fire marshal's office. This pickup truck would be housed at Battalion 1 and would be utilized for fire investigations, emergency management, QRS response, technical rescues, and the daily activities of DFS. We would use it for our daily activities, including all of our community risk reduction activities and the drone program. This would allow the DFS to respond to incidents in a marked township vehicle with the necessary equipment. So right now, the fifth guy that we have working, the fifth firefighter, drives around and it's an unmarked red Ford Expedition. Does not have a lot of equipment in it. It's just the on-call fire marshal's truck that we've been utilizing since you thankfully gave me a fifth person to go out and do stuff. So we were looking at different pickup trucks, the cost of pickup trucks. It was just obscene how much they cost now and how long it takes to get them. And the FDMT said, well, we have this utility truck that we don't really utilize a lot, and really it's underutilized, has a lot of great equipment on it. Would you guys be interested in purchasing this pickup truck? Because we're getting a new pickup truck anyway. They're getting a new special service truck. So the pickup truck that we would purchase from the FDMT is actually owned by the Relief Association. So the township would have to purchase the truck from the Relief Association at fair market value. So we had the pickup truck assessed, appraised by Bergey's, where we bought it from, and it was appraised at $38,000. And we also had that red space cap that's on the back of it appraised as well, and that was appraised at $40,000. So because of how expensive pickup trucks are now and how long it takes for us to get pickup trucks, it's that the FDMC ordered a pickup truck 2.5 years ago and it still hasn't been delivered. We heard maybe September. We were hoping that the board would approve the DFS to purchase this pickup truck from the FDMT. There's only 8,000 miles on the pickup truck. It's a 2015. It's not used at all. So it just makes sense, instead of, I don't want to say inappropriately spending a ton of money on a truck that we already have. It's just who owns it. Because under the relief guidelines, the township cannot utilize it for career staff activities because it was purchased by the volunteers, which may change this year. Though there may be changes in the legislature. But as of right now, it's a relief-owned apparatus. So we budgeted $120,000 in our capital plan this year for a pickup truck. With the pickup truck and the space cap and the lettering and the computer and all the different equipment that would go into it, we're looking at $845,061 for the pickup truck for the township to buy it from the Relief Association. So we are asking the board to approve the purchase of the pickup truck from the FDMT Relief Association at fair market value, and then the associated equipment to get the truck where we need it to be utilized by the career staff daily. Thank you.
Sounds great, and we know we can get it.
Yeah, it'll be here tomorrow.
It's available.
It's available. And I assume it's been maintained to our standards then as well.
Yes, we actually coordinate all the maintenance of the vehicles for the volunteers, so we know it's good. It's taken
good.
well care of. Mhm.
Any other questions? Good deal. All right, I'm going to move to approve the purchase of a pickup truck from the FDMT Relief Association at fair market value in the amount of $78,000, and approve the purchase of the necessary equipment, upfit, and striping of the new pickup truck in the amount of $25,845.61 for a total cost of $103,845.61.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Staying with Chief Wegman, approval of Montgomery County Fire Services recovery grant.
Thank you. On July 10th, the FDMT received notice that their application to Montgomery County Fire Service Recovery Grant Program was approved. The FDMT was awarded $26,622 through the grant program. The FDMT will utilize this grant money to assist in the purchasing of new turnout gear for the members of the FDMT. Obviously, this is a positive impact because it was a grant. It is the recommendation of staff that the Board of Supervisors approve the FDMT's grant award of $26,622 through the Montgomery County Fire Services Recovery Grant Program.
Great. Love when we can get a grant. I'm going to move to approve the FDMT's grant award of $26,622 through the Montgomery County Fire Services Recovery Grant Program.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Bouncing back to Greg Reef. Purchase of fuel through the 2023-2024 Montgomery County Consortium Fuel Contract.
All right. The township has the opportunity to purchase petroleum products from Montgomery County Consortium Fuel Contract. The contract has been awarded to Petroleum Traders Corporation. The contract is valid for 1 year and will run from September 1st of 2023 to August 31st, 2024. Allocations for all of the departments were included in the 2023 approved final budget. It is recommended that the board authorize the township's participation in the Montgomery County Consortium fuel contract awarded to Petroleum Traders Corporation for the purchase of petroleum products.
Sounds good. I'm going to move to approve the township's participation in the Montgomery County Consortium fuel contract awarded to Petroleum Traders Corporation for the purchase of petroleum products for a period of 1 year ending on August 31st, 2024.
Second.
Is there any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization to bid storm sewer infrastructure improvements. Gregory?
Okay, included in 2023 capital investment plan are improvements to various storm sewer infrastructures throughout the township. After various site visits, it is the recommendation of Gilmore and Associates, the township engineer, that the work be completed at the following storm sewer basin locations: 108 Oxford Lane, 110 and 112 Addison Lane and Magdalena Lane, in compliance with MS4 stormwater compliance. Competitive bids will be solicited utilizing Penn bid website. A total of $445,000 has been included in the 2023 capital investment plan for stormwater improvements. So it is recommended the Board of Supervisors approve the authorization for the advertisement of the bid.
Okay. Going to move to authorize the advertisement of the bid for storm sewer infrastructure improvements utilizing Penn bid.
I just have a quick question. The work that's going to be done to improve these basins, do we typically notify the surrounding homeowners about the work before it's performed?
Yes, we have had meetings with all of the homeowners that are going to be impacted by this.
Okay.
So they all have notification on that.
They've already received notification about it? Or
Yes, we've met with them in the field. When we went out to do our initial site visits, we made contact with them just to let them know we'd be out there televising the storm pipes just to make sure they were aware that we'd be out there. And then we have been in contact with them just to kind of give them the scope of our project. And just explain how they may be impacted, but most of them, it's such a minimal impact. Everybody was actually kind of happy that it was happening. So.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
16 is the review of zoning hearing board applications. Carolyn, I'm guessing?
Yes, since Mary Ann is on vacation, I wanted to review the 2 applications that have come in for the next zoning hearing board meeting. The first one is Mary Mother, the Redeemer. They are seeking a variance to replace their existing monument sign. And the second one is residents on 100 Torrey Circle. They are looking to install a privacy fence that will sit closer to the property line than the code currently permits. So they would also need a variance. So at this time, we're just asking the board if you wish to remain neutral and let the zoning hearing board render a decision based on the testimony presented, or if you wish to send the solicitor in opposition of either of them.
Seems to me that our zoning hearing board can take care of this. Does everyone agree?
Agreed.
Yep, we'll stay neutral.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm. Item number 17, ratification of township's position for the zoning hearing board application, the venue at Montgomery Mall. Going back to Carolyn.
Yes, so as you know, we received an application in between meetings. The board was polled on how they wanted to approach this. The venue is a business that is opened in the mall, that is a rental facility for private events. Originally, when they came before the zoning hearing board, it was specifically asked if alcohol would be permitted, and at that time, the answer was no. And then subsequent to that, the people who are running the venue reached an agreement with the mall to amend their lease agreement to permit BYOB with the whoever's renting the facility to be the one providing the alcohol as well as the bartender. I polled the board. The majority of the board wanted to send the solicitor to oppose the application because of their various concerns with alcohol being permitted. Subsequent to that, the zoning hearing board did hold the hearing and it was continued. So tonight, what I'm looking for is either the board to maintain that position, in which case the solicitor will go to the meeting in September, or to authorize the township staff and the solicitor to meet with the applicant and their attorney to see if we can develop conditions that are acceptable to the township. And in that meeting would obviously be Sean or John Walco, myself, and most likely Chief Bendig, because the police obviously would be most concerned about enforceability. And this is a unique situation because this facility is actually in the mall. So there's a number of concerns that have been raised even at the staff level. So right now, your options, are to ratify your prior decision. You could withdraw and let the zoning hearing board hear it, or you could ask us to meet with the applicant and see if we can arrive at some kind of conditions that would make it permissible and the township would no longer need to take a position.
And I believe the request, how it was worded here, was to staff is seeking the ratification of the board's prior opposition to the application, decision to send the solicitor to oppose the application, or in the alternative, authorize the township staff and solicitor to discuss the matter with the applicant and their attorney to determine if conditions can be agreed to and would satisfy the township's concerns related to the BYOB use, thereby resulting in the withdrawal of the authorization to send the solicitor to the zoning hearing board. So basically, we would ask that you make the motion to ratify sending us, but also to give us the flexibility to go ahead and meet with the applicant, see if anything can be worked out, report back to you. And if you so choose, then we wouldn't go to the zoning hearing board.
But sending you would be if the majority of the board tonight says, yes, it's good, we're okaying BYOB, but we have these conditions. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Right now, you'd send us to oppose. We're hoping, John Walco's had discussions already with the applicant's attorney. We're hoping we could continue to have those discussions. If we found something fruitful with potential conditions whatsoever, we would obviously, through Carolyn, come back to you and then either go to the zoning hearing board and state those conditions on the record or something like that, solidify them, or not go at all or whatever. So that's what we're asking you to do. We're asking you to ratify your decision to send us, but allowing us the flexibility to meet with the applicant and possibly withdraw or put conditions on if you so choose.
I just wanted to speak up in favor of the BYOB use at this particular merchant's location within the mall. This is being set up. I mean, the venue is a place where people can have a wedding, or they can have, a nonprofit can host an event, a business association can host an event. All of those uses, I think, bring a lot of welcome traffic to our mall that has really been struggling. But all of those organizations and individuals who want to host a wedding or a reunion, they all want to be able to serve alcohol at those events. And prohibiting that type of use really is effectively dramatically limiting who their customer base is. And they signed a 2-year lease. I think it's going to put them out of business if we don't allow it. And I think, if we can come up with a reasonable, working with them and come up with these reasonable conditions. I would love to see this use at that location at our mall. I think it's not only a benefit to them, but also a benefit to the mall and have spillover traffic for other merchants at the mall. This is something that I would advocate for.
And we do have alcohol available at the mall at Salsa's, Smoky Bones was at Salsa's and also the pub when it was open. So it's not like alcohol wasn't available at the mall. The only concern is those establishments have a liquor license through the state. They're responsible for their own enforcement, cutting someone off, making sure someone doesn't leave their establishment. There were concerns that the staff had. And from what I heard from several of the supervisors, there were concerns it wasn't so much serving alcohol, it was the security around it. What you're going to do to make sure no one wanders into them. Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
That was my fear, that there's no one controlling it. There's not a bartender. There's no one taking notice of how patrons could be leaving, what condition they're in. I really was against it, but I would certainly be willing to stay against it, but allow the conversations to take place. If everyone else agreed, that maybe we could find some sort of
Conditions that make
medium,
sense.
conditional.
See, I'm still stuck on they're claiming they have a hardship when they signed the lease agreement, knowing that there was no alcohol when they signed the 2-year lease agreement. And it really, for me, doesn't qualify as a hardship. It's not so much different. It's not uniquely difficult for them to do what they need to do. I don't see the need for more alcohol at that kind of venue with no oversight
I
or
don't know
little
that.
oversight.
I think that wedding venues, this is no different than any other wedding venue and how they are managing the presence of alcohol, BYOB alcohol at their facilities and at their events. So I would think that we could probably negotiate some terms that they can comply with that will meet our needs. And I would hope that we would approach them in that spirit.
Well, even the idea of like the bartender, they're not going to be vetted by the mall or the venue owners. As the renter, I'm providing my bartender. So there were just some things we need to, if we want to be able to say to the board, we're satisfied now that this is going to be, not only a benefit to the mall, but, safe for our community. That's why we wanted to come to you tonight, just to get the feedback and to see where we were with things.
So I was not in favor of it, but if we're approving tonight just for you to continue at the table with them, then I'm okay with that. But I'm not ready to say that, yes, this is what we should be doing. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay. So if there are 3 of us that want to oppose it, but are willing to have a discussion, do we do motion to oppose?
You do a motion to oppose with the caveat for staff to continue discussions with the applicant and come back to the board and see if those conditions are satisfactory.
Right. And at
that
can
point,
vote
then
again.
we would withdraw opposition so long as we put on the record that we have some kind of agreement of those conditions.
And if we don't have agreement, we still would be
We
in
would still
opposition.
oppose. We'd oppose.
Okay.
Yep.
Is everyone okay with moving forward that way?
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time with it, but the agreement, if we're looking at being more restrictive, more oversight, anybody who has a license with the Liquor Control Board has to do XYZ. You're looking at your patrons, you're evaluating how impaired they are, those kind of things. And we want to have those discussions, then I'm up for discussions.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm good for more discussion. Audrey, you're good for more discussion, but no decision.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to move to oppose the zoning hearing board application for the venue at Montgomery Mall and send the solicitor to represent the township in opposition of the application. But in the meantime, we're okay if some conversations were to occur and you'll come back to us.
With conditions to see if they're suitable for the board. Yes.
Correct. We good with that? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any public comment on this? All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
Any other? Trying to.
Maybe a roll call or
4-1.
was it 4-1?
4 to 1?
4 to 1.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Number 18 is authorization to advertise single-use plastics reduction ordinance. Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. During the public comment portion of your October 10th, 2022 public meeting, Township President and EAC member Don Hamp spoke to you about considering a ban on single-use plastic bags, noting that he was speaking on behalf of the EAC. In May of that year, the board adopted a resolution encouraging voluntary participation in reducing the use of single-use plastics because at that time, the law passed by the state legislature as part of the budget bill had been renewed. However, it was challenged in the courts by Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Westchester, Norberth, and Lower Merion. The township's now in a position to have an ordinance in place to reduce or eliminate single-use plastics. The ordinance was prepared by the solicitor's office and has been reviewed by the EAC. However, there are several items that the board needs to discuss and make a decision on before we can advertise the proposed ordinance. In the ordinance that's in your packet, for example, there are items that are highlighted that we just need board consensus on so that we can finalize this. And then if you deem it acceptable, authorize the advertisement. So one of the biggest items that we have in my mind is when it would go into effect and the temporary signage requirement. In speaking with the solicitors today, obviously we want the enforcement of it and the advertisement of it, notification about it to be consistent. So it's my recommendation that the township develop the signs, purchase the signs, and then distribute them to the businesses because we want to know that everybody's got the same sign up. We don't want one business to do an acceptable sign and somebody else to have an 8.5 by 11 with marker on it saying, and then somebody saying, I didn't know this was going to happen. I believe Upper and Lower Merion have both done that. They also had a QR code on there that people could scan to get additional information. There was also a question about the cost. In this case, a commercial establishment may provide a reusable bag to a customer, provided the cost to the customer is not less than 10 cents per bag. I know the EAC had talked about 15 cents, but again, this is mostly to have a productive, positive effect on people. So we felt 10 cents, staff level, we felt that 10 cents was appropriate. Also on temporary signage requirement, it was beginning 60 days after the enactment of this ordinance, and for 6 months, they shall post conspicuous signage. We believe it needs to be 90 days to allow us time to, put the sign together, get a vendor to give us a quote for the signs, get the signs in, and then be able to go because we're going to have to distribute them ourselves, obviously, to the merchants that are affected in the township. So we prefer 90 days and not 60 days. We do agree that the 6 months is a reasonable time to leave the sign up. Another big item that was on here was the warning. So after a written warning is issued and additional violations would occur, there would be a fee or a fine. So it would be $50 for a first offense occurring within 12 months of the written warning, $100 for a second offense occurring within 12 months of the first offense, and $200 for a third offense occurring within 12 months of the second offense, and for each subsequent offense occurring within 12 months of the immediately prior offense. Staff felt those fees were reasonable because again, we're dealing with all types of businesses. The larger businesses, we're not as worried about. What we don't want to, we want this to be a positive thing. And so we don't want to harm the smaller mom and pop operations. Although I don't think it's an unreasonable ask to move forward with this, because everything else that's in place, especially the education component, we've been putting the word out, the AC has done a great job with their Tuesday tips. We've given bags out at our events. I don't think it's unusual to see people with bags. Obviously, the big thing in here also is the fact that it would involve straws as well as styrofoam containers. So we want to make sure we give businesses the opportunity to use up their inventory as well as, make arrangements to buy things that are either compostable or to change how they're delivering their products to their established customers. And then the other question would be the effective date. So we thought realistically to make sure that, and for simplicity on our part, we thought January 1st would be a reasonable time to have this go into effect.
You don't think that's too fast? January 1st,
Right around the corner. No, I think between the, the fact that I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, to be honest. I'm going to look at other signs and say, hey, Derek, can you use this sign and just put our logo on it? Because I believe that's what Upper Marion did with Lower Marion sign or vice versa. And I don't think that's unreasonable. We have some very good local sign vendors that we can use to make them. And, that'll be a win for them as well. No, I don't think, we're coming out of our busier season, if you will. Some of our larger land development projects are kind of abating, and I think this would be a good time to put it in place.
What if we made it February or March? I feel like you're coming out of the holidays when it's some of these people's busiest time of year, and to throw something this big on them.
We can do
for the
that.
first of the-
Solicitor Walco suggested even, I guess, one community that he knew of did it to coincide with Earth Day, which is in
I
April.
think that's so
So
much better.
whatever, again, it's up to the board, but we need these things decided on, because if we're going to advertise this, we have to have all the holes plugged.
I'd rather give the businesses some more time to get used to it. Certainly keep putting it out, but give them more time to get used to it. Maybe more time to use up their supplies, their bags, their things that they may have on hand. But I think,
But that's when the enforcement would start.
right.
So they could still be.
It would be the
transitioning
effective day of
prior.
the ordinance. That's when the ordinance would be in place.
Right, so they could do it before that. They run out of their
up
bags
to
and they're
them.
like, okay, here's
Right.
what we're doing now. They can
Right.
start before the
Start whenever
effective
they
date.
want. but
Sure.
Give a little more time, like finish up some of
So-
the busiest time of the year for retailers, and then throw them into this brand new. I'd like to see a little more time.
So was Earth Day a good suggestion, or February 1st, or what would?
I love that
I
it
love
would
Earth
coincide
Day.
with Earth Day.
Earth Day is Monday, April 22nd.
And we could just have so much social media about it. We could give out more bags. We could, again, put the word out.
So in the other staff recommendations, as far as 60 to 90, the fine structure and the 10 cents you were good with, though, in general.
Who actually is the enforcer of this? Like, how does that work?
Be the code department. That's how it does in other townships.
And it would still be complaint driven. We don't have the staff to be able to go out and to traverse every single merchant in the township to ensure that they're complying with it.
Right. So it would have to be someone would call and say, I was at Target and they are still giving out
Yes.
plastic bags.
Yep.
But we're not going to be hounding our businesses. We're
That was not the intent. No,
using
that's never been the
resources
intent
for
of
that.
the code enforcement policy in this township has never been
Correct.
to be aggressive like that. It's been complaint driven on all areas. So
So it's not less than 10 cents. Is there a cap? Like they're gonna say, okay, you're doing $3. Like,
that's up to the
them.
merchant.
We don't wanna
We
get
just
in
don't want it to be so little that
It doesn't drive change.
yes, thank you.
And some of the unintended consequences of this have been seen in Philadelphia, in that there are certain people that can't afford. This really impacts their budget. So that's why we don't want to make it too much. Likewise, I was in a Walmart in New York State. They actually stopped giving out any bags. So they went the Costco route. And what they found was people were then forced to either put their groceries into the cart, as you do in Costco, and bring them to your car, or what they had to found to do, because I said, where are your reusable bags? They have them behind the counter now because people were stealing them.
Mhm.
So again, we don't want to drive bad behavior,
Right.
but people are frustrated sometimes because they're like, oh geez, I forgot the bags. And we've all done that, including myself.
Yeah.
So we forget things. We have to drive behavior change. And so, we were just talking about the school bus situation. That's a life or death situation. But I think this is something that we do to change. This is a behavior of convenience, really, that we're trying to change. And that's a tough one too. So I just think we have to, 10 cents, 5 cents isn't really change that. 10 cents, you're like, oh, it's adding up a little bit. So I think I need to start changing my mind, but it doesn't hurt anyone. As well as the township, we have bags available at all of our events. We're giving them out. So I think and we have some ideas for EAC as well of, if people have too many bags, which I know they do at the farmer's market, they actually have a place where if you have too many bags, you can bring them here, and then people that need bags can get them. So we can have maybe a little kind of a swap That's
a good idea.
resources,
Whole
right?
give a penny, take a
Right.
penny thing, like.
Right. And I noticed,
I
when I
love
was,
that idea, and I'll be the first one to donate because I've got
yeah,
tons.
I have a nice collection. I noticed, they just changed them at Wegmans. Now they're machine washable, which my old ones aren't anymore. And these are made from 100% plastic bottles. So I like that these have new characteristics that I want to say the ones that when I bought 10 years ago and I'm still using do not have. But my son bought these and I said, I'm going to bring that to my meeting and show and tell. So they have some new ways of doing things. And usually they're about $1 each. But again, we have some nice ones that we give out at our events at the township as well. And I would imagine we'll continue that.
So what do you need from us, Carolyn, tonight? We've got the.
I would say tonight I'm asking for authorization of advertisement of the ordinance as amended to move the effective date to Monday, April 22nd, 2024, to change the temporary signage to begin at 90 days instead of 60, to leave the fees in place as recommended.
10. Okay, perfect.
Sean, I have one question. What happened to the ones that were being challenged in the courts?
They were all upheld by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and federal court.
Okay.
Yeah.
The budget was allowed to lapse. The budget, that they got rolled into. And so when that lapsed, it changed the court's direction on this.
Anyone have any other thoughts or changes?
The other thing I brought along too, just to show you when I was at Giant, they actually have these compostable straws. They're marine degradable and they are not made out of paper. So I wanted to show you that they feel like they're plastic, but they're actually made out of a company called Repurpose, and they sell these at Wegmans. They sell them at Giant. I know, right?
Not bad.
It's like, it feels like a plastic.
It feels like plastic.
Yeah, so pass them down and everyone be amazed how nice these are. Because I was like, I'm kind of.
Because the paper ones that fall apart
Oh
in your
yeah,
mouth.
your
and
mouth
just
will
little-
degrade almost.
It's not even worth it.
I can share.
So yeah. So show and tell on that as well. So, and lots of options when you're buying things in the plastic area as well. So as well as for takeout containers, there are so many other better options that actually are kind of old options. The foil things with the paper tops. Yeah. So easy.
All right. So since am I just reading this as amended
Yes.
with our new amendments?
And we understand your intent. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move to authorize the advertisement of the single-use plastics reduction ordinance as amended.
Second.
Any public comment? Just remind us your name and address again for the record, Linda. Thank you.
Again, good evening. I'm Linda Block, 136 Claremont Drive. First of all,
It's wonderful that you're considering this, and I think it's very important for us to move ahead. As a member of the EAC, though, I think there are two pieces of information that might be useful as you're considering whether or not to go ahead with the amendments or revert to what we had proposed originally. A number of the communities around us, Upper Marion, Lower Marion, have 15 cents as their cut point or the charge for bags. And that's been chosen because that was decided, because that was the point at which it drove behavior. And as Beth said, that's what we're really trying to do, is move behavior from 10 cents isn't really that bad to 15 cents. I'm really going to think about what I'm going to do. The other thing we did in concert or in keeping with what other townships are doing is select January 1st. And that was based primarily on the fact that there was an article that came out in the Patch about what was happening at the King of Prussia Mall, such a big shopping area. And they're going on January 1st to make a clean cut. And it seemed like a good idea to have us do it at the same time. So we would be similar to the surrounding communities. So just some information about why we were thinking about doing it that way that you might consider.
Thank you. Thanks.
Come on up. Give us your name and address, please.
Jonathan Katz. I'm actually right across from Oxford Lane, so I'll be seeing you guys pretty soon. I'm thrilled. So thank you for taking the consideration. Thank you for coming on these last 12 months and as we look to shape it and everything. I really appreciate the support. Appreciate the support from the community as well. I do agree with my partner, fellow EAC. There was some reasoning around the dates, but better late than never. So again, just very happy that you're moving to pass this, and just generally thank you. I think it's a good step for the community, and I think a lot of the other townships, we have a cross township group that we're all part of. A lot of them are looking at us as leaders. So I think we are really setting the stage and the tone for other townships to follow. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I'm fine with January 1 if Carolyn, you think we can get it all done by then. I just feel like it's around the corner. We're going to blink and it'll be January 1.
Actually, I'm more concerned about what Candace's point was, the businesses coming out of their busiest season.
Right. That's a good
And
point.
I think April, that's the cut date, you have to have it done by then. It doesn't mean that you can't, we'll certainly get the signs out as soon as possible and, get the ordinance. Once you adopt it, that will start things for everybody. So at this point, we're just trying to get the consensus to get it in place that we can put it out there and authorize the advertisement. And then once it's authorized, we will start working aggressively to get the word out again.
I mean, we could talk even about New Year's resolutions, like get yourself ready, because by Earth Day, you have to be ready to make your change.
Absolutely.
So we have to say, like, why don't you start this process going through? I understand the thought of the being a busy time for people to be thinking about changing their inventories of bags,
especially going into the holidays. If they've already got them ordered and they're ramping up in anticipation, I don't want to do anything again that puts a negative spin on this at all. I don't want people to come in here and the story becomes, we did something without consulting or even though,
unintentionally.
right, exactly.
Oh, geez,
Even
I
though-
should have thought about that.
even the bags, we don't have to wait for an event. If we have it in the budget, we can develop the bag, order the bags, have them here at the township building, have them at the rec center, available for people, to take. And
yeah, but I really would like to encourage people to start the process
Absolutely.
earlier than that, because again, we're just delaying things. I mean, every week and day seems like there's another terrible situation that we're, barreling towards with our environment. And I didn't know that some people don't want to act on that basis. But I feel like we're foolish to put it off too far ahead. So
Let's just think about the businesses, because some of them will
No,
think this is
I'm
government
agreeing.
overreach, and I don't want to hear that from any of our businesses. I want to just give them more time, and I do think that we could build much more of an event around Earth Day than we can around January 1st, when everyone's making their resolutions and so much.
And there's nothing stopping the businesses
Correct.
from doing it January 1st if that's what they choose as
Right.
well. But this is
Right.
our
But
hard
this-
stop.
The hard stop will
Yeah.
be, Earth Day.
Earth Day.
We're coming after you. Just kidding.
Beth will be out there.
I
I'm
think
coming.
to Linda's point, though, I think there is this sort of benefit for calendar year initiation of it. But what I'm hearing from Carolyn is that maybe logistically, it would give us a little more breathing room in order to get everything in place to implement a campaign that goes into effect on Earth Days. So I don't know. I'm sort of on the fence on this one.
Well, I think we can have the best of both worlds. We can start advertising and letting everyone know that it's happening. Let them become as prepared as we can. Again, I don't want to harm any of our businesses.
Right. So this will be advertised, and what meeting will the resolution be on then?
if we get it advertised September 11th, it should be ready to go.
So and that's
Yeah, people can
Yeah,
start
just-
then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We had public comment, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 19, we have a resolution supporting grant application to DCED. Carolyn?
Thank you. The current round of funding for the Multimodal Transportation Fund Grant Program closed on July 31st. We made an application to the program and we included a match to improve our opportunity because of the competitive environment. A resolution has to be adopted by the Board of Supervisors and submitted as an exhibit. So we reached out to DCED, asked them if we could have a resolution in our packet as a placeholder with the understanding that you would be adopting the resolution tonight in support of the grant application. And if for some reason you chose not to support it, then we would formally withdraw it from DCED. The project would be the sidewalk improvements to connect the Village Shopping Center ultimately to the Community and Recreation Center. Chief Bendig and Damon Drummond, our traffic engineer, went out there and also identified an area where we would be able to put in the rectangular rapid flashing beacons to allow motorists to be aware that there are pedestrians going to be crossing. You gave us permission to apply to the grant for the project. We are proposing a match of $100,000. And then if the grant is not awarded, the entire cost would come from our capital reserves. So tonight I'm asking you to adopt Resolution 2023-13, which supports the grant application to the DCED Multimodal Transportation Fund Program for the installation of the sidewalk and the RRFB.
Sounds like something we need to do. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I would just speak in favor of it, and that, you know, anything that we can do to enhance pedestrian safety is, I think, a worthwhile investment of our taxpayer dollars.
And this is something, that route is something a lot of kids do when, especially during the summer or weekends, when they're at the rec center and then they want to go get a slice of
Absolutely.
pizza, et
They
cetera.
go across the street, they go up to Mystic. Also, the concerts that we have at the rec center, while they draw a tremendous amount of people from other areas, especially depending on the group, i.e. Grease Band, AM Radio this year had a packed gym. We also get a lot of people coming over from the orchards. And so we want to make sure, you know, because of the curvature of the road and everything, that, you know, it's not just the sidewalk, that we put people on alert. We start alerting motorists to the fact that they need to be more cautious coming through this township because there are people walking.
Right. We didn't used to walk and we walk now.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to move to adopt resolution number 2023-13, supporting the grant application to the DCED Multimodal Transportation Fund Program for the installation of sidewalk and rectangular rapid flashing beacons and pedestrian improvements along Stump Road.
Second.
Is there any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 20 is grant application to the Montgomery County Transportation Program. Carolyn McCreary.
So we were also able to get a grant application put together to send to the county. Their deadline was July 28th. So the county's program uses the revenue from the $5 countywide vehicle registration fee to expand the reach of transportation investment and achieve the goals of their counties, of the county's comprehensive plan. So as part of our efforts to, again, to promote the walkability, we identified this project as what we thought would be a really good fit. There is a match required on this. The match is about $80,000, but again, to keep it uniform, we just to sweeten our participation, we took it to $100,000. And you also agreed to, you gave us our consensus to apply for this grant. So tonight we are asking for the same thing. We're asking you to adopt resolution 2023-14, supporting the grant application to the Montgomery County Transportation Program.
Sounds like something that we're all in favor of because we want more sidewalks and walkability. So I'm going to move to adopt resolution number 2023-14, supporting the grant application to the Montgomery County Transportation Program for the installation of sidewalk and rectangular rapid flashing beacons and pedestrian improvements along Stump Road.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 21, appointment of a voting delegate for Pennsylvania Municipal League. Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. As a member of the Municipal League, we are entitled to appoint a voting delegate for the fall meeting and an alternate to serve for the annual resolutions committee and then their annual business meeting. I am recommending that you appoint, instead of names, it would be just the positions, the township manager as your designated delegate and the chairwoman as the alternate delegate.
Everyone okay with that? I'm going to move to appoint the township manager and board of supervisors chairwoman as the voting delegate and alternate delegate respectively.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Award bid for leaf and yard waste collection and disposal. Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. A condition of eligibility for funding under the DEP's 904 Recycling Performance Grant is that we provide a separate collection of leaf and yard waste with disposal at a composting facility. Staff received and opened bids on August 9, 2023. We received one bid from Solid Waste Services, Inc., doing business as JP Mascara and Sons. The bid specifications authorize the board to award either a 1, 2, or 3-year contract or reject any and all bids. The bids are in your packet. 1 year is $35,400. A 2-year contract is $36,780 per year. A 3-year contract would be $38,292 per year. And then there's costs for extra containers also enumerated in there. So the total for a 2-year contract is $73,560, and for a 3-year contract is $114,876. The previous 3-year contract total was $69,825. So tonight we are asking the board to consider awarding the bid for the leaf and yard waste disposal collection to Solid Waste Services, doing business as JP Mascara and Sons. And you would just need to determine how long a contract you want to enter into.
Greg, it's such a huge difference in price. Is there any way we could do this ourselves?
No, we don't have the
Had to
staff
ask.
or
Or
the equipment. It would take a lot of equipment and staff to do that.
It's a big jump. And why the 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, they go up as opposed to usually, I guess we're used to getting more of a
Right.
decrease, some kind of discount when you sign on for multiple years.
I would suspect it's because of the current market, the fact that labor costs are going up, supplies are going up. I mean, I wouldn't be able to quote going further out.
Right.
Also, there are communities where residents purchase the bags at, say a Home Depot, and they put them out, and their normal trash hauler takes them. In this case, the township has always spearheaded this. And to Greg's point, if you said you could do it, I would be, you're going liar. Because we really, I mean, I came from a community where we did, it is a lot. It is a lot of work. The equipment you need you just can't have do it safely, and the amount of people you need to do it. And in a community of this size, it would be difficult.
But our private haulers are taking the leaves in those bags as well.
Yes, but we have committed to this, and I just don't think this is a point where we can change course and throw it on Public Works. I just don't see how that would be feasible.
And we have talked to some other municipalities that have done it, and they're doing it from I'm going to say October all the way through until the ground freezes. And they've also had a lot of issues where they don't have the manpower to go out and actually remove them from the streets. And it creates a lot of, it creates a lot of issues, especially if they freeze to the road.
You get an early snowfall or icing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what if we do nothing and we just put it on the residents to put out with the regular trash? It's a huge amount of money.
So Whitehall doesn't take it, but they don't take yard waste.
Yeah, they do.
No.
They take
No,
mine.
they don't. They don't if you put it out in a bag.
The brown bag? Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
They don't. They do not.
Okay. They've taken mine.
Well, you've gotten lucky. They officially
You have
don't.
a nice trash bag.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they won't take it.
I don't know. It's a tough one.
Very tough.
Well, you could do a 1-year contract, knowing that we're coming back again next year, and depending on costs, they might be higher even than what these are. Or you could do a 3-year with the understanding that costs could go down, but you're locked into what you agreed to tonight.
So what all does this tie back on? The DEP's 904 Recycling Performance Grant Program. How does that, what else does this affect other than the leaf collection? Is there money that we lose by not doing that?
Yes, our recycling grant would be less because we have to report everything into them, and that's how they determine the grant that we get.
What was our grant last year? Do you know offhand?
52,000. Thank you.
Is there any help from on a county level? Nothing.
No, nothing.
And you want to come? Yeah.
Good evening, thank you. I'm Al DeGenero. I'm Deputy General Counsel for JP Mascaro and Sons. So we were pleased to participate in your bid solicitation, and I understand your concern about your cost. I hope you've saw a copy of my letter that I wrote to your township manager, because what you're experiencing here is industry-wide. You folks all go to the supermarket, everything has gone up drastically. These costs, one of the attachments I wanted you to see, you're not providing individual household collection, but across the board, costs have gone up significantly. I could talk for hours about how this pandemic has affected our industry and our company. You don't need to hear that, except I can tell you that this attachment that I put here for you, and I've been with the company for 32 years. Although I'm a lawyer by trade, I'm more involved in municipal bidding, things like that. I've been many places where Sean is. I'm pleased to see Sean here this evening, but nothing's getting cheaper. And when I give you this attachment, not a single one of these municipalities awarded a one-year contract. And respectfully, you've been seeing what's happening in the economy. And while they're talking about a soft landing, I can assure you that the price today, next year will not be the same. You see, things are changing. And I think, I know it's gone up, I think 64% or something like that from what you paid 2 or 3 years ago when you out to bid. But as you can see from this chart I gave you, if you looked at it, that's on the lower end of some of these cost increases, and they're continuing to increase. And most municipalities, when they're looking at these labor-intensive situations, are going out as far as they can go out. We've gotten 5-year contracts, got a 10-year contract at one place. Most of these, your contract, you only allow for 1, 2, or 3 year. And respectfully, I could answer any questions you have about the services with Payne. Their price was, I believe, $60-some thousand when they went out to bid again. Again, there was only one bidder. It was our company. They gave us the contract, and it's over $200,000. There's a lot more collections in whip paying than you folks have. But the cost, I'm sure you're familiar with your budget planning. Nothing goes down, and I can assure you that these. Look, we'll be happy to serve you for 1 year, 2 or 3 years. But if you go 1 year, we'll be back here again. Whoever bids again, we'll certainly participate. The costs are going down. And as you can see, by virtue of the fact that you only had one bid, the industry is challenged right now. It's not going to be any different in the next 12 to 24 months, that's for sure. Happy to answer any questions. I know you've been here a long time, and I don't want to say any more than I need to say, except we'd be delighted to have a 3-year contract. We appreciate the opportunity to serve your township. If you don't know anything about our company, it's a family-owned and operated business, very successful. Started out as a one-truck operation, your typical American success story. But if you looked into municipalities in Montgomery County, our company has more municipal-wide contracts than our competitors. Our yard waste, which is permitted by DEP since 2000, is in Franconia Township. Your yard waste and leaves would go there. It's a DEP permitted facility, and we have the infrastructure that we can serve this township well, and we're delighted to have the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Brian, 51, 52, and that's per year?
No, it varies per year because the grant is based on various factors, meaning how much is recycled, and it's a pool community kind of grant, so it factors on that. But this 2019 was 54,000, 2020 was 69,000, 2021 it was 43,000, 2022 it was 52,000. So it varies.
Okay. And that helps offset this.
Correct. That yes, it offsets that. Plus, other purchasing of recycling containers, other things that we provide to the community. But the majority of that money goes for this program.
So it sounds like even at the 3-year contract pricing, if it continues the way it has in the past, we're still covered then with that.
Correct, based on the numbers.
Based on those
Yes.
assumptions.
Yes.
What if we do a 2-year and we figure out how to phase it out? I mean, it just could be that we can't afford to do this for people anymore. We don't have a consumer that we can just pass the cost on to. I don't know. This just isn't sitting well with me.
If there's a grant that's covering it, right?
Well, it's not covering all of it, though. I mean, we don't know.
I think it is. Well, based on the past numbers, it sounded like 43 was the
43
lowest.
was the lowest in the last
and
few
they're
years.
at 38,292 for the year. If that's 40 or, you know.
But that's grant money that we used to be able to use on something else. I feel like a hostage and I don't like that.
I think we're limited on what we can use the grant money on. Like it can be
So
used
what else
for
could we use it for? Right.
new recycling.
Electronic recycling.
We use it for electronic recycling,
Right.
and then it offsets the cost of our leaf and yard waste. That's primarily
Which is
she uses
basically
for it.
what it's used for.
Mhm.
It covers the cost. And it's a nice service for people as they're, especially when you think about the storms that we get and so forth, that it is nice to have something in our back pocket that we can help the community with.
Well, you have here the difference is you have smaller parcels with more neighborhoods having mature trees, so it results in more leaves. It's not like you have a lot of people who have acres and can just take them and like blow them into their backwoods or something. So here people,
That's a good point too, because we have had a lot of issues in Spring Valley Park's a great, for instance, there's I think certain perpetrators anyway, who take their yard waste and dump it into the park, basically into open space, which causes a lot of problems and water runoff issues, and it's bad. I think we would see an increased incidence of that kind of behavior if we were to eliminate the program.
As well as the leaf burning that used to happen in years gone by. People used to think, oh, I'll just burn it. And that's a fire hazard, and and it's also not great for air quality.
Well, I'm not for it, so I'm gonna have you read that, and you guys, you make.
You want me to read the
Yeah,
motion?
you guys make a decision because I'm not gonna vote for it.
Okay. So I'll make the motion to award the bid for residential leaf and yard waste. Oh, wait a minute. Discussion. Are we doing 2 or 3 years or 1 year?
I think, was there 2 years? I think it seemed a lot of energy around.
Yeah,
We can do two.
Two? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so begin again. Motion to award the bid for residential leaf and yard waste collection and disposal to Solid Waste Services, Inc., doing business as JP Mascaro and Sons for a 2-year contract in the amount of $73,560 beginning on November 1st, 2023, ending on October 31st, 2024. 25.
Second.
Any public comment?
Okay.
Call for a vote.
Okay, so I call for the vote. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
Yep. Mhm. Yep.
Okay, authorization to allocate ARPA funds to capital reserve fund, Brian Shapiro.
Thank you. In 2021 and 22, the township received $2.7 million in ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act monies. Initial guidelines from Treasury were that these monies could be used for the following purposes. 1, replace lost public sector revenue. 2, respond to the far-reaching public health and negative economic impacts of the pandemic. And 3, invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. At that time, the township identified various storm sewer projects that these monies could fund, which you acted on earlier this evening. In 2022, Treasury released a final ruling regarding how municipalities who receive $10 million or less in ARPA funding can utilize the replacement of lost public sector revenue provision. The final rule allows recipients to select between a standard amount of revenue loss or complete a full revenue loss calculation. Recipients that select a standard allowance may use that money for any government services. In 2021 and 2022 report filings, the township preserved its rights to choose this provision as the stormwater projects had yet to commence. ARPA monies need to be spent by December 31st, 2024, or Treasury will claim the money. As the township starts these various stormwater projects, the township would like to transfer these monies into the capital fund and finalize the ARPA documentation as a one-time standard amount allowance of revenue loss. It is staff's recommendation that the board approve the transfer of ARPA funds to the Capital Reserve Fund and designate $2.7 million for stormwater purposes.
Sounds like a great use of that money. Does anyone have any questions?
Was that based on the calculated loss?
No, the calculated losses, and during the first ruling, that was the only thing you could do was a calculated loss where you had to look at a I forget it now, but a 3-year look back period of how much revenue you did lose because of the pandemic. And then the new ruling allowed that you can just take a standard allowance where you didn't have to do a calculation if you received $10 million or less. So it made it much simpler for the smaller municipalities who receive that money to be able to just transfer the money. However, with the spirit of our initial falling in the category of stormwater, that's why we want to designate it on our financial statements as a transfer to capital solely for stormwater purposes only.
I just had it in my mind that we got 1.5 million in ARPA funds.
The first year we got one, it was a 2-year funding. We got, half the money. It was like 1.3 something and then 1.3 the following year.
So I'm not wrong. It's just not, I didn't have the full picture.
Right. Yeah. The initial application when that came in and we were all scrambling, we were all getting the emails. You got to make the deadline by April 30th. Did say 1.4 or 1.3, somewhere around that number in the initial funding that we had to approve.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to move to transfer ARPA funds to the Capital Reserve Fund and designate $2,742,894.57 for stormwater purposes.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Ratification of real estate tax appeal settlement for 277 DeKalb Pike. Brian Shapiro.
Property owners with an address of 277 DeKalb Pike, owned by Welsh Road Realty LP, the property, which is a Rite Aid, filed an assessment appeal in 2020. The assessed value of the property is $2.2 million. Based upon the applicable common level ratio, the implied market value for this property is $5.7 million for tax year 2023. The school district has a proposed settlement negotiated with the taxpayer is a fair market value of 4.4 for the tax year 2021. Applying the applicable common level ratio, the assessed value would be $2 million, resulting in a decreased assessed value of $181,570 for 2021, and the same decrease for 2022 and 2023. Based on the proposed settlement, the township would issue a refund of $707.83. The solicitor's office has reviewed the proposed settlement and recommends that the Board of Supervisors approve the settlement.
Anyone have any questions on this one or 1110 Bethlehem Pike? I think I might just make a motion for both of them. No questions? No. All right. I'm going to move to approve the stipulated settlement for 277 DeKalb Pike, TMP number 46-000709-01-8, and 1110 Bethlehem Pike, TMP number 46-000262-007, and authorize the township solicitor to execute the documents on behalf of the township.
Second. And if we could just note for the record that 1110 Bethlehem Pike, the ratification of this would result in a refund that the township would have to issue in the amount of $7,803.39.
Okey-doke. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any other business or things?
I have one thing for old business. It's just an FYI for the board. I know we've done a lot of projects, but I wanted to update you on the dog park that's proposed for Knapp Road. So the plans are going live on Penn Bid this week. We will be looking at a bid opening of September 15th with a notice of award, and construction then would be tentative to start in early October to be completed early December.
Great.
End of year.
Nice. Thanks for the update.
Okay, I have one quick request that I talked to Carolyn and she said I should bring it up the next meeting. And it was whether or not I could set up a quick meeting with Kevin to talk about our mowing map, which I've never looked at before. Just to say, like, is there a way that we can look at the areas that we're mowing and just, are there any areas that we could, not, even if it's just one or two, like, one or two runs that we could reduce that amount, that would reduce the amount of mowing we have to do, and so forth. I'm not saying I overgrow the whole place, but just say if there's like a couple places that we could reduce. I've never seen it. I would like to look at it and have an evaluation, and then we can bring it. If there's a big change, we'll come and talk to everyone about it.
I don't understand what you're.
So what I would suggest is that we I can provide you with the map of the
Okay.
open space that we've just completed, and it shows you what is township maintained as well as what is maintained by HOAs or private entities. And then I think the board needs to discuss this at a public meeting because of the impact it could have on residents. Because as soon as you say you're going to reduce mowing or discontinue mowing, you get people coming out. So I think the board needs to understand it all as a group to, you know, and to sort of give us direction as to what you want to do or if you want to do anything.
And if it's on the agenda, then there would be public comment
Correct.
about it.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
I just wanted
The
to-
last thing I want to do is be accused of not being transparent in this.
Absolutely,
if
and I want to just put it on the table to say it's something I'm interested in looking at, so then we can bring it up in public
And
comment.
we do have a lot of areas that we've already stopped
Yes.
mowing on some of our open spaces.
Mhm.
That is something that was looked at previously and it was deemed that we didn't need to do it. So
Right. Okay, great.
there's a lot of areas that we've already done that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll put it on a future
Okay,
agenda.
perfect. Sounds great.
All right. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone have a good night.
Jill, what's this?
So
A little sticker for my.
Press your thing off.